Ever feel like you're kind of drowning in information?
Mm-hmm.
Articles and notes and just so many thoughts bouncing around.
Yeah.
It can be hard to sort through it all and figure out, what really matters.
It really can.
But that's where our deep dive comes in handy.
Right.
So we're going to explore this piece about unlocking your potential. And I think there's a really, really interesting story about a young boy named Sammy that'll really resonate with you.
Okay. I'm interested.
So what do you think is so interesting about Sammy's story?
Well, it's interesting because it kind of acts as a metaphor, right?
Okay, yeah.
For like all of our journeys. He's this young boy lives in a small village and he just loves to draw. But he doesn't really see the value of his talent.
Yeah, he's just doing it because he loves it.
Yeah.
And it's not until this traveling artist just happens to see some of his drawings that things change for him.
Right.
The artist is completely blown away by Sammy's work
Uh-huh.
and tells him, what you see, nobody else sees the same way. And that's what makes your art unique. What do you think really shifted for Sammy in that moment?
It was the recognition. He finally got some validation from an expert, somebody that he admired.
Exactly.
And that really helped him, see his passion in a new light. It became something special, something to be nurtured and valued. And, that's a pretty powerful message for all of us.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone listening right now has their own unique talents and perspectives.
And that's really what the whole piece is about. It goes on to highlight 4 key steps that you can take to unlock that potential.
Right.
And it all starts with identifying your passions.
Okay.
Remember how Sammy, he just loved to draw. It was a simple joy, But that was like the spark.
Totally.
And this source really emphasizes, passions. They don't have to be these big dramatic things.
Oh, right.
Sometimes the simplest things, those little things that bring you joy, they can turn into something truly amazing.
Absolutely. And like, for instance, I was reading about this master Japanese swordsmith. And, he started out with this like fascination with the history and the craftsmanship of swords.
Oh, wow.
A really, really niche interest.
Yeah.
But he honed that passion into an art form and actually became, world renowned for making some of the most exquisite and valuable blades in the world.
It's amazing how that seemingly small passion,
Yeah.
turned into something so extraordinary.
Yeah.
Because he just kept investing his time and his effort.
Right.
So you've got to identify those sparks. And then the next step, according to the source, is setting goals.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I know, for me at least, when I hear the word goals, it can be kind of daunting.
For sure.
Have you ever felt that way?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, who hasn't? But, the key here is to break down those big kind of overwhelming goals
Yeah.
into smaller, more achievable steps.
Makes them a little less scary.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's where that SMART goals framework comes in, making sure your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It's all about creating, a roadmap for your journey, a series of manageable milestones that lead you toward, your ultimate vision.
Yeah. And those small wins along the way, they really build momentum.
For sure.
You start to see the progress.
Yeah.
And that keeps you motivated.
Totally. It's like that, that feeling you get when you finally beat a really hard level in a video game.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just fired up for the next one.
Okay. So we got to have our goals.
Yeah.
And speaking of support, the third step that the source talks about is surrounding yourself with positive people.
Yeah.
We all know how important that is, but why do you think it's so crucial when it comes to unlocking your potential?
It's about more than just, feeling good, although that is definitely a big part of it.
Okay.
But it's also about having a network of people, right? People who believe in you, who challenge you to grow, and who are there to support you, when you stumble, which you inevitably will.
You're going to stumble.
Exactly. Like a constructive critic, Someone who will provide honest feedback and maybe help you see blind spots and push you to really refine your ideas. That kind of supportive but also challenging presence is just invaluable.
For sure.
There was this study, I can't remember all the details,
Okay.
but it showed that people with strong social support,
Yeah.
they were more resilient, more likely to reach their goals, and they just had a better sense of well-being overall.
Right, because they've got that safety net to catch them when they fall.
Yeah.
And they have cheerleaders that are going to propel them forward.
Exactly.
It's so valuable to have people that can offer different perspectives and people that aren't afraid to give you honest feedback.
Yeah.
And of course, celebrate the wins with you.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the final step, not being afraid of failure. Now, have you faced any setbacks in your own journey? And if so, how did you deal with them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anyone who strives to, learn and grow will encounter setbacks at some point.
Of course.
It's just part of the process. I remember early on in my career, I was working on this project. I was so passionate about it, but everything I had into it, my heart and soul, and it just got completely rejected.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was devastating. But looking back, I realized that that experience was so much more valuable than any success I could have had at that time
Oh, interesting.
because it forced me to reassess, refine my approach, and just develop resilience. And those lessons were, ultimately essential to my future successes.
Yeah. So you're saying that those failures,
Hmm.
they can be incredibly valuable learning experiences.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And the source really reframes failure as a stepping stone, right?
Got it.
An opportunity to make adjustments and refine your approach.
Yeah.
And speaking of powerful messages, this piece ends with a really empowering statement. The person who has the power to change your life is the one you see in the mirror. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a good reminder that we all have agency, right?
Yeah.
We're not passive bystanders in our own lives. We have the power to choose how we respond to challenges, how we develop our talents, and ultimately, how we shape our destinies.
I love that. And that's something for all of you to reflect on as we wrap up this deep dive. Think about Sammy and the steps we've talked about, and that empowering message of taking control. What really resonated with you? What's one small step, maybe inspired by Sammy's journey, that you can take to tech into your own potential? Just remember, this deep dive, it's really just the beginning. The real journey starts now.